Morning. Welcome to Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. Bitcoin is holding up here. It did pull back to around 56,135, and now is bouncing a little bit. Had a big bounce from the weekend. So that is the story with Bitcoin. Let us move over to our word of the day. Our word of the day is quondam. Quondam, that once was or former. It's Latin from the mid-16th century. Olivia's Quondam boss had left the company to set up their own business. Move over to S&P 500 heat map. The heat map is bouncing. Most things are up. I believe Google was up before, and it is pulling back right now. Got a bounce in most everything else from last week. We'll just see if this bounce holds or if this is a dead cat bounce and it returns to its bearish trajectory. We'll just have to wait and see how the inflation report comes out on Wednesday. So that is where we are there. If you're at all concerned about a hard landing, soft landing, and how it'll affect all the wealth that you've accumulated all these years, this might be a good place to be. As you can see, it beats index investing by about 5% per year. It goes up the step, does not come down when the market goes down. When the market goes up, it goes up. When the market comes down, it does not go down. So this is the index as it follows how the market flows. So that is the story there. Let us go over to our charts. This is Meta, trying to get a little bit of a bounce. Our ETF for the day is the financial sector. It's up almost up 2% for the day. PLTR is their stock of the day, as it's up 13.5% in the profit zone right over here. And IoT is our IPO of the day, was our IPO of Friday as well. And it's continuing its move up towards the profit zone. So that is that. Now let us go over to the dollar index. Dollar index is up again, up to the 20-day moving average, up 0.28%. Silver is actually bouncing on that news. Gold is bouncing as well off the 20-day, getting above the 10-day moving average. Copper trying to get up to the 200-day. And uranium is bouncing as well, up 0.87%. Let's look at the bond yields. Bond yields are falling, down 0.4% on the 10-year, down to 3.7, I guess you would call it. The 20-year is falling almost 0.9%, falls to the declining 10-day moving average. The VIX would assume it would be falling down to 9.22%. Let us go to our S&P. S&P is bouncing up 1.10. We'll just have to wait and see when it gets up to the declining averages. You can see the 10 and 20 are rolling over, and see if this provides resistance once it gets up close to there. RSP, the equal weight in the S&P 500, is bouncing from the 20-day. The NASDAQ got a little weak bounce, up 1.2%. The equal weight is up 1.42%, up a little stronger. IWM up 0.61%. And the Dow Jones up 1.25%. It seems like the Dow Jones is a stronger index. It did hit a new high over here before it pulled back. Take a look at the subsectors. Financials was our ETF of the day. Communications. Software trying to get up to its 50-day. We'll see if it turns tail. This provides resistance as it gets up closer to there. Here's technology. XLY is bouncing as well off the 50-day. Consumer staples are up. Semiconductors trying to get above the 200-day. Building materials in between the 50 and the 20. Metals and mining. They don't look too good at the moment. Biotech getting above the 50-day. See if they can get above the 20-day. Real estate. Look at that strong move up 1.12 after bouncing off the 10-day. Home builders. Kind of got a weak bounce here. Pretty low volume. Infrastructure. Looks like up 1.3%. Airlines got a pretty strong move up 2.5% here. Leisure activities up 2.23% as well. So that's where movement kind of is. Let's go to our world news. China August consumer prices rose 0.6% year over year versus estimate of 0.8%. France is asking the European Commission to extend beyond September 20th, a deadline for submitting a plan to reduce its public deficit to align with Paris's 2025 draft budget. Former European Central Bank Mario Draghi called on the EU to invest as much as $884 billion extra a year to commit to the regular issuance of common bonds to make the bloc more competitive with China and the US. On to the S&P 500 index changes announced that late Friday. Palantir and Dell Communications and S&P Midcap 400 constituting Erie Indemnity will replace American Airlines, Etsy, and Bio-Rad Laboratories in the S&P 500 respectively, effective prior to open trading on September 23rd. AAL will replace Tegna in the S&P 500 midcap, and Tegna will replace Designer Brands in the S&P 500 small cap. So Tegna is raising above 14. The Etsy will replace Haverty Furniture Companies in the S&P 500 600, and Bio-Rad will replace Erie Indemnity in the S&P 500 midcap 400. Bio-Rad is falling, down 2%. CNH Industrial, Western Alliance Bancorp, Parsons, Hamilton Lane, Viper Energy, and S&P Small Cap 600 constituting Fabrinet will replace MP Materials, Progeny, Audient, and Wolfspeed, as well as Helen of Troy and Ziff Davis in the S&P Midcap 400, respectively. And those companies, MP Materials, Progeny, Audient, Wolfspeed, Helen of Troy, and Ziff Davis will replace Calavo Growers, Inhabit, Mercer International, Compass Minerals, 3D Systems Corporations, and Fabrinet in the S&P 500 small cap 600, respectively. And Zurn, LK Water Solutions, Clear Secure, TJ Therapeutics, Inspire Medical Systems, CSW Industrials, ADMA Biologics, and Impinj will replace Community Healthcare Trust, Varix Imaging, Dine Global Brands, New Skin, AMC Networks, Olympic Steel, and B. Riley in the S&P small cap 600, respectively. So there we got to look at what's happening. Looks like B. Riley is up 9.3% today after a huge fall. Let us go on to our sector news breakdown after all the shuffling there. In the consumer area, get our cursor back over here. Big Lots is preparing to file for bankruptcy as soon as Sunday and plans to sell its chain of stores via a court-supervised process, according to people familiar with the plans. Big Lots is down to 50 cents. Just look at this huge cascade down. That's something you don't want to buy in the dip. Celsius Holdings mentioned positively in Barron's, noting the energy drink maker slumped in recent months and signals that the company's growth has slowed, but the article noted that the market reactions may be overblown as the company is expected to expand overseas, sell more online, and get more products on grocery shelves. It is up 5.8% today. On to energy, industrials, and materials. Boeing agreed to increase wages by 25% in a 4-year deal with its largest workers' union before potential walkout. Decision will be voted on this week by the members of IAM District 751 and W24, which represent 33,000 workers. So Boeing is following suit. I believe Alaska raised the salaries there about pretty close to 25% as well. Joby Aviation is jumping today 4.4%, files for resale of up to 3.3 million shares by selling stockholder. Methanex said on Sunday it will acquire OCI Global Methanol business in a cash and stock deal of $2.05 billion. NASA selects companies for commercial small satellite services award up to $476 million, including Black Sky, which is up 15%. Planet Labs, which is up 6.75%. This is a penny stock. And Satellogic, which it announced late Friday. And it is up 3%, another penny stock. On to iron ore futures drop for the 7th straight session on Monday as tepid Chinese economic data continue to weigh on the key consumers' demand outlook for steel. Reuters noted the most traded January iron ore contract in China's Dalian Commodity Exchange ended the morning trade 1.32% lower at 673 yuan, or $94.70 a metric ton, the lowest in a year. On to financials, Aflac files debt security shelf. They're up slightly, 0.57%. East West Bancorp lowered its full-year loan growth outlook. An investor update now sees loan growth of 2% this year. Previously, it saw 3 to 5%. Even with that, it's bouncing up 2.5%. On to healthcare. Parago has received final approval of its $97 million class settlement with investors over a stock drop allegedly caused by a pharmaceutical company's statements during a takeover attempt by Mylan NV Netherlands, I believe that stands for, in 2015. On to Summit. Demonstrated that the company's experimental therapy has done what no other has done before, beat Merck's Keytruda in head-to-head late-stage trial in lung cancer. Summit is rising 58% today. Look at that. It was even higher earlier. Volume is 3,745% of average. And take a look at what Merck is doing. It is gapping down 2.2% as it tries to fight back. A person in Missouri who didn't report any contact with animals has tested positive for H5 bird flu. The state's Department of Health and Senior Services at Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said Friday. It's not clear if the person was infected with the same virus strain that's causing the ongoing outbreak among dairy cattle. Finally, into technology, media, and telecom, DirecTV has filed a complaint with the U.S. Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, accusing Disney of failing to negotiate in good faith and engaging in anti-competitive behavior, the company said on Sunday, according to Reuters. And Disney is up slightly, pretty close to flat for the day. That is the story. Let us go on to what is moving up 10% on the market today with 200% increase in volume. We have a few companies that are doing just that. We got ADMA Biologics up 13%. We got Bicycle Therapeutics in the UK up pretty close to 27%. BioNTech up 11% today as it tries to clear this bottoming base here. Clears the 200-day moving average, pretty good volume. Impinj, which we had in the news, moving to another S&P 500 sector, up 10%. Palantir, which was our stock of the day, up 13%. And Summit Therapeutics, which was in the news, was over 58% for a brief second there. And that is what is happening there. Kava, this is kind of what we're doing today, Kava Mediterranean Grill. It looks like it's kind of cleared this area here. It is on lower volume. We did add, I believe, 200 shares. We're back up to 800. Goal to get to 1,000. So we'll continue to watch this. And there's a possibility it could come back down here like this and go something like that. Some guarantees. Continue to hold Samsara. See if we can bring that up here so we can cover. We still have this pullback on the NASDAQ. We did have a spread on this as well. And I think our spread has definitely hit our target. We got closed out of A-Lab today and it had hit our stop. We'll just see clearly hasn't hit the bottoming base where we thought it was going to go. We'll continue to watch this. Continue to hold ACGL. Arch Capital Group. Got a nice bounce over here. Continue to hold GitLab. Got a small holding in GitLab on its earnings, so we'll just see if this can continue to hold. And that's what we're currently holding there. And that's all we're kind of doing at the moment. So that'll wrap up our story for Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. Go out there and have a great day. This is our Monday session. We'll continue to watch, make sure that this is a serious bounce or if this is just a bounce up to resistance where it rolls over again. So September and October are always treacherous. So be careful out there, and we hope everyone has a great week.